Okay, this one is about the nature of refusal. And this will probably surprise you, what I reveal about refusal and the essence of what it means to refuse. So I'm going to talk about it in the context of a collaborative project, in case you've been following the recent series of audios in relation to that project. But it's that topic, sorry. But I also want to go into the deeper meaning of the word and about our right to refuse. So to refuse, it means to enable the process of fusion to take place. So to fuse something is to bond them together permanently in order to create something new, like an amalgam or whatever it may be. And this is the nature of, when you go to the rubbish dump, it's where you put your refuse, because it's all the things that you want to go back into the earth that will eventually go back into the molten plasma of the planet, where it's hot enough for any kind of substance, any form of matter to be refused, meaning that for it to be it's actually reintegrated into plasma, and then birthed anew as some new form of mineral or something else that the earth needs. And so it's important to understand. In fact, if you're interested, I'm involved in a collaborative project that utilizes this method to bring into commercial waste and residential. So if that does interest you, feel free to send me an email. But to refuse something, it means your intention is to repurpose it. And so when you throw something away at the rubbish dump, it's so that it can be refused and birthed into something new to meet a currently unmet need. Because that's what happens in nature. Nature is constantly evolving to meet the unmet need of some other form of life. And this is a perpetual cycle. And so to refuse. Now, when we refuse something, it's when someone invites us to contribute our presence or some aspect of our own energy, and we refuse. We exercise our right to refuse. And every human being has a right to refuse. They have a right to refuse absolutely everything. They have a right to refuse legislation, laws imposed upon them, requests from people who feel as though that person has a sense of obligation somehow to them. No human being is obligated to anything in their life. And I mean the law as well. Even a written contract that creates a legally binding mechanism, you still have the right to refuse, understanding that there may be legal consequences that you won't enjoy. But the right to refuse always exists, because you're sovereign and you're free. And you get to choose in the moment what you imbue your presence into, what you gift your presence to. Because everything you gift your presence to is appreciating, and that is how all of life is evolving, through what is being appreciated, through the presence of every form of life. So, when we don't refuse, when we just go along with these requests, and because we feel obligated we are just endlessly giving our power away, our power being our presence. We're endlessly appreciating things that other people want us to appreciate. Other people are wanting us to give our energy to something so that it appreciates because of their agenda, and they're leveraging a sense of obligation in order to receive your energy. Now, you still have the right to refuse. You still have the right to refuse. And obligation really is the only thing that imprisons us. It's the only thing. And most of the time, it's a sense of obligation that causes us to corrupt our own vision, or corrupt our own inspiration, corrupt what we truly want to imbue our energy into because of a sense of obligation. And so in context, so let's say, I'll give you a classic scenario. My mother's a wonderful cook, and it's her love language is cooking a meal for people. It's her way of giving love. And I mean, you know what it's like, family dinners, even when you may be full and your mum wants you to have some more and you have more. And but the truth is, what you really wanted to do was to refuse. And this is I mean, most of you can probably relate to this as I'm talking about it, but because none of us want to refuse our mother's love. But here's the thing. This is born out of a belief that, the love of our parents is unconditional, that is conditional, actually. When we're naughty as a child, our parents, they're human beings. They have a tendency to withhold love if we're acting in a specific way. And so we grow up believing that the love of a parent is conditional upon me behaving this way, or me doing this, me pleasing them. And so we feel a sense of obligation, and this is born within us, to receive their love. And just in case it runs out, or just in case they withhold it at another time. So most human beings have got this within them, and it's a sense of obligation. We think we're obliged to our parents, but in truth, the reason we're making the decision not to refuse their love is because we want to capitalize on it whenever it's available, because of an inherent belief that we gained as a child, that I may not receive it soon, or the tap might be switched off to receiving love later on. So this can manifest itself in many different ways. Another scenario of this kind of scenario is, let's say one of your parents bought you a gift for Christmas, and you're in the process of moving house and having a cull, getting rid of stuff out of the garage, sending stuff to be refused, and they say to you, "Oh, don't forget to bring your frying pan that I got you last Christmas." And it was in the pile to give to the Salvation Army. What do? You haven't used it ever since you received it. But your parents experienced that as them giving you love, and that's true. And you want to refuse it. You want to refuse it. But do you? So it's important to understand that it's only a sense of obligation that causes you to not refuse And this is a form of self-imprisonment, and it's a very, very common one. It happens, it's common, the mother, the scenario with the mother expressing her love through food. But, I think with, the fatherly version of this is, a father, their sense of fulfillment and satisfaction for their child is to see what they're capable of doing in the world. That's a very masculine thing. Most children, they misinterpret this actually, and they think what their parents are after is to be proud. But actually, that's not the case. A parent's satisfaction is from the child doing what they want to do in the world. And the classic form of fatherly love, masculine love, is I want to witness what you can do. So the energy is like, show me what you can do. I want to see what you can do. Show me what you can do. But it's about being surprised and delighted with what the child is capable of doing. That's beyond the imagination of the parent. It's not about prove yourself worthy to me. But kids, they don't get it. They don't get it. It feels like the parent is trying to get the child to make them proud. And but the true sense of satisfaction for the parent comes from that child doing what they want to do in the world with joy. That's really where it comes from. And so the way this manifests itself in the world is you have so many people that are trying to please an authority figure, trying to prove themselves to an authority figure. Look how good I am. Look how capable I am. Look, are you proud? Are you proud of me? Look what I can do. Hey, look at me. Look what I can do. And, I see this time and time again, especially in business as well, where, there are people who are continually trying to please authority figures within an organization. And really, this is one of the things that fuels, the patriarchal system. People don't realize this. They think that men are trying to control everyone and trying to oppress everyone. But in truth, what's actually happening is people are trying to seek the approval of father figure energy, of paternal energy. And in fact, it's a huge craving within the psyche of most human beings, is to win that approval of the father figure. And we see this by wanting to please unseen authorities, wanting to give our power away to unseen authorities, as well as seen authorities. This desire to please the Father. And, we see this in religion big time as well. We're just trying to please an unseen authority to make it proud. Look how good I am. And, and I think it's a confusing thing for a lot of males I know, and myself as well included, where you have a lot of women's rights movements who are very, that think men are trying to control women and oppress them, and control them. And there's no part of a man that wants to control a woman. I'm only speaking from, my perspective and the people I know, because of course there are men that do want to control women, but it's actually an exchange. When something else controls you, especially when it's an authority that you feel is powerful or that you can trust, when they control you, then it gives you a sense of security and safety. And if you fear without that, energy, if you feel out of control in your life, or if you feel like you can't provide for yourself, or you're not capable of creating in the world, or that without that energy you just don't feel safe, then you're going to seek to give people control over you who do make you feel safe. And the irony is, it's, a lot of the time, people who are very controlling like that have, often can make you feel unsafe as well. But when they're not making you feel unsafe, you feel protected and safe from everything else in the environment. And so there's always this exchange going on. I want you to control me, and once that sense of obligation is established, you are now obliged to keep me safe and to look after me. It's now an expectation. I give you this in return for. And there's nothing more stifling than a sense of obligation to human nature. And we let it control us. And so, another classic scenario is, let's say you're down scaling, you're going through the garage, you're doing a cull, you want to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff, and you've got 3 piles. This is typical. You've got a pile of stuff that you want to keep, you got a pile of stuff that you want to sell, and a pile of stuff that you want to give away. Actually 4 piles, and the 4th pile is stuff that you want to send to the refuse dump. Now, how do you determine which stuff goes into which pile? And the classic scenario is you're thinking, okay, I don't want to stuff up the environment, so I want to recycle as much as possible. Who's going to appreciate this? Who's going to get the most use out of this? And then you've got the stuff that you're going to sell, that you're intending to sell, and you're thinking, oh, maybe I should just give this away. Maybe it's selfish to try and get money when I can just give it to someone for free who will appreciate it. And again, what I want to say is notice the sense of obligation that creeps in. I'm obliged to recycle. You feel the sense of obligation to keep as much out of the environment, of having to be recycled through the Earth's natural processes as possible, because you don't want to poison the environment. And then you feel selfish because you'll get $50 for something if you auction it on Trade Me or eBay or whatever it is, but there's someone else more needy who would appreciate it. And so you feel the sense of obligation to give it away for free. And then there's the pile of stuff where you go through that mindset of, do I keep this in case I need it in the future? Meaning that it's not going to be appreciated by anyone and will probably sit in the garage again and accumulate dust, waiting for a rainy day. Or do I sell it now so someone else can appreciate it, give it away? Or do I refuse it now because no one will appreciate it in its current form, and it needs to be recycled through the Earth's natural process? And so here's the thing again. You have the right to refuse. You always have the right to refuse. Nature has been created to refuse everything, and the way that we manage it right now is utterly horrendous, don't get me wrong. But the planet is set up to refuse everything that is no longer has the capacity to be appreciated, because all of nature exists in response to appreciation. Everything. All of life evolves based on appreciation. And if there's something that is obsolete, that no longer has the capability or capacity to be appreciated by any other form of life, then it's time for it to be refused. And the same thing, if your frying pan is in the garage and you have no capability or capacity to appreciate it, you have the right to refuse your mother's love. When she purchased you that frying pan, you have the right to refuse that so that you can give someone else the opportunity to appreciate that item. Whether they buy it, whether you give it to them for free, it does not matter, because the person who's going to be receiving that frying pan is still going to appreciate it. The thing being, if you sell it, not only is that person going to appreciate the frying pan, but you now have greater potential, latent potential, to appreciate something else because you have money. So understand, the right to refuse is a fundamental human right. And you are totally sovereign over what you choose to give your energy to in any moment and in every moment. And so all I want you to know is that you don't need to please your dad. You don't need to please an authority figure. That the child in you that is trying to please authority figures, and to show them what you can do, what you're capable of, how worthy you are, what they actually want to see is they want to see you doing what you love to do. That's what they really want to see, even if they don't realize it themselves. So all you ever need to focus on is, what is it that I want to do in this moment? What is it that I want to create? What is it I want to invest my own time and energy in? It's not about, look how much I'm capable of doing. It's about, look how much I love doing this. And it all comes back to refusal. Never, ever, ever allow obligation to determine what you imbue your presence into, what you gift your energy into. You do not have to please anyone, although it is very, very potent within all of us, the desire to please an authority figure. But if we can just shift our perspective to understand that the only way to truly give our parents a sense of enjoyment from our own evolution is for them to witness us enjoying what we do. And from that's the paternal perspective, and the maternal perspective is they want to witness us. They want to see who we are capable of becoming. And from that perspective, it is purely about who you will derive the most satisfaction from becoming. It's about being who you want to be. And that's the only thing that will scratch that itch that your parents have in seeing you evolve. You become who you want to become. You do what you want to do. And so refuse till you're blue in the face. You know, take that present your mum got you 2 Christmases ago and chuck it in the rubbish dump. You have the right to refuse. You have the right to refuse. And next time you're at Christmas dinner and your mum's offering you your 4th helping of dinner, you have the right to refuse that as well. And, you know, regardless of their reaction. And they may experience it as being rejected, as their love being rejected, but you're not responsible for how that feels to them. All you're responsible for is what you want in this moment. Okay. I suppose I should chuck in there the relevance of this to cooperative collaboration. So let's say you're a collaborator on a collaborative gifting project, and you're gifting of your skills, expertise, obligation-free. Let's say someone on the team expects you to perform a task just because you are capable of doing it. And this is so, so, so important. In fact, it's fundamental to understand this to be successful in a collaborative venture based on gifting or anything else. Just because you are capable of something does not mean you're obliged to gift it. And the whole thing will collapse if you are unable to refuse gifts that you don't want to use. You'll just end up making a rod for your own back, and you'll imprison yourself, and you'll wind up pleasing an authority figure who's getting their needs met because you're doing something they didn't want to do, and you're also doing something that you don't want to do. The solution is always to refuse and then collaborate to create what you do want. The ethos is exactly the same as, sending a form of matter back to the center of the earth to be refused at an atomic level, so that it can be utilized to meet a currently unmet need somewhere else in nature. It's the same thing. No one wants that old frying pan. You can't even give it away. The St. Vincent de Paul or the hospice shop, they don't even want it. It's time for it to go to be refused in the center of the earth so it can create new forms of matter that are to meet a currently unmet need. And it's exactly the same thing. You've got capability. You're able to do something, but you don't get any joy from using that gift. And so refuse to use that gift. You have the right to refuse. Only ever use the gifts that you want to be using. And it's the key that unlocks everything. It unlocks the latent potential of everyone and everything. Because there is someone out there that does have the gift, does have a gift that they want to give, and that brings to the project exactly what it is you need. And so you do have the right to refuse. And beware of a sense of obligation, and just try and catch yourself in the act. When you feel some kind of pull, when you feel something pulling on your energy and it doesn't feel natural, just ask yourself, is this a sense of obligation drawing me in? Is this an authority figure I'm trying to please? And do I want to exercise my right to refuse? And you'll be right as rain. Okay, that's all for now for the nature of refusal. Catch you soon.